Have you ever felt like you're just stuck? Like you're your own worst enemy? Well, today we're going to talk about a really simple but powerful philosophy to break free from a couple of mental traps that honestly steal our time, our energy, and our power. Let's dive in. So we're going to start with a feeling we all know, especially when things go sideways. That sinking thought. It's all my fault. You know, that feeling that you have to carry 100% of the blame. But the whole philosophy we're exploring today, it really pushes back on that idea. And right here, this is the crucial difference. This isn't about beating yourself up with blame, not at all. It's about looking at the situation and acknowledging your piece of the puzzle. It's not about taking all the fault, but it's also about not acting like you have zero fault. The real power is in finding your role, because that and only that is the part you can actually change. Okay, so this brings us to the first major thief of our time and energy, the habit of just blaming other people. You know, it might feel good for a second to point the finger, but the hidden cost is, wow, it's absolutely enormous. Think about it, right? When you're busy pointing that finger, your brain isn't actually solving the problem. It's just spinning its wheels in a loop of negativity. We're not talking about the 5 minutes you spend complaining. We're talking about the hours of frustration and lost focus that come after. It's like this tax on your energy that just never stops collecting. The source material puts it this starkly for a really good reason. Blame isn't just some bad habit. It's literally described as an enemy inside you. It's like a poison you think you're aiming at someone else, but you're the one who ends up drinking it. All right, here's a question to really let sink in. If you were to track all your mental energy for a whole day, how much of it is actually spent on your own growth, your own happiness, and your own life? The answer? Well, it might just shock you. So check this out. The claim here is that most people spend a staggering 70% of their time and energy on other people's business. You know, blaming them, worrying about them, trying to interfere. And that leaves just 30% for their own lives. 30%. That crazy imbalance is really at the heart of the whole problem. In fact, this state is described as being like a patient. And that's not meant to be a judgment, not at all. It's meant to frame this as a condition that actually needs a cure. When you're spending the vast majority of your life's energy on things you can't even control, you are, in a way, unwell and need to heal. And these effects, they just ripple outwards. On a personal level, your growth just grinds to a halt, and your ability to see things clearly gets weaker. But then, imagine that scaling up. When a whole society is full of people spending 70% of their energy on blame, well, the strength of that entire society starts to weaken. It all comes back to that simple, personal choice of where we focus our energy. Okay, so that's the first big trap. Now let's talk about the second one. This is the idea of passively just begging for help, instead of actively going out and seeking the knowledge to help yourself. The source calls it servile praying. Okay, the source uses this brilliant metaphor here. Just picture this with me. You wake up and there's this constant bitter taste in your mouth. Now, that taste isn't the real problem, right? It's a symptom. It's a flashing red light telling you that something deeper, something inside your body is out of whack. So then a friend comes along and offers you a piece of candy. You pop it in your mouth, and for a few minutes, that sweet taste completely masks the bitterness. It feels great. It feels like a solution. But of course, it isn't, right? The second that candy is gone, the bitterness comes right back because the real issue was never dealt with. And that's the whole point, isn't it? The candy is just a distraction. It's not a cure. The real solution is to figure out why you have that bitter taste in the first place and to heal that internal cause. It's such a perfect way to show the difference between a quick, superficial fix and a genuine solution. So this brings us to these two mindsets. On one side, you've got the servile approach, just begging for that piece of candy. It's a quick fix, sure, but it keeps you dependent, and it keeps you stuck in that same frustrating cycle. But on the other side, you've got the empowered approach, going somewhere to learn. This is all about understanding the root cause so you can find a lasting solution and finally break the cycle. Man, this is such a powerful way to reframe things. It's basically saying we should see places of wisdom, whether it's a temple, a library, a school, whatever, as resources for learning and empowerment. They're gyms for your mind, not some cosmic vending machine for quick fixes. So, okay, We've laid out the two big problems, blame and this servile mindset. So now what? Well, now we get to the solution, and it's presented as a really clear two-step prescription for taking your power back. And here it is. The two conditions are so simple to say, but they are absolutely profound in practice. First, stop blaming other people. That's how you immediately start to reclaim your focus and get back that 70% of your time. And second, stop being servile. Don't just ask for a handout. Go out and actively seek the knowledge to understand and solve the problem for yourself. And this really is the core definition of empowerment in this whole philosophy. It's not about never having problems again. It's about shifting from being a passive victim who just hopes for a candy fix to being an active student who seeks to understand the root cause of things. That's the game changer. All right, let's wrap this all up by looking at what happens when you actually make this shift. What's the outcome when you really stop blaming and start learning? The underlying principle here is that help seems to come to those who are already in motion. Passively sitting around and just wishing for a solution, it doesn't really get you anywhere. But the moment you start putting in the effort to understand and to solve your own issues, it's like forces align to support you. And this old saying really just captures the whole idea perfectly, doesn't it? It suggests that help, whether you think of it as divine or just good luck, it's not a handout for people who are just waiting. It's a force multiplier for people who are already taking action. Your effort has to come first. And look, the rewards for actually walking this path are huge. You get that 70% of your life back. Your judgment gets so much clearer because you're not clouded by blame. You don't just solve one problem. You start to build this true inner strength and the skills to solve future problems, creating a life of real capability and ultimately freedom. So we'll end with this. The path is actually incredibly clear. Stop blaming and start learning. The prize is you get to reclaim your time, your energy, and your focus. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?